We'll get to City later, but we're going to start with Arsenal and Chelsea. This was what you might call a tactical battle.
Yeah.
All right, Arsenal won with a goal from the best on earth in garbage time. Kai Havertz, of course, against his old club. Prior to that, it was 0-0 for, well, obviously it was 0-0. So Liam Senior got killed from some people for the approach that he took, which I'm going to sum this up. Right? He had some injury concerns. Estevao not ready to start. Cole Palmer, he came out and said, quite honestly, I'm managing his minutes. Obviously, the medical staff in the ascendancy these days at Stamford Bridge. Reece James failing a late fitness test. And he gave us a lineup we hadn't seen before. 3 at the back, Jorel Hato being one of the 3. Almost effectively at times a front 3 with Enzo, João Pedro, and Delap coming in from the right-hand side. It looked like they were happy to keep the game close, pick their spots, and then maybe go for it in the last 15 to 30 minutes. I don't have a problem with that approach, given they were 3-2 down from the first half. I'm going to guess you're going to say, I do, because it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see what he was doing. I've got no problem with him trying something different, for sure. And he was right at the end. He said, what if we play a normal tactic, if you want, a normal system, normal football, and then we were 2-0 down after 10 minutes, and then you would have said that I should have done something different. So on that sense, he's right. The only thing I would say, and having been at the game, Chelsea at the start of the game are out of this League Cup. They're not in the final. And in a way, his system and his tactics and the game plan played too much in the hands of Arsenal, who just were like, okay, so you're not going to attack us. We're going to do what we do best, which is control the game, control the ball. And that's exactly what they did. And I think for him then to change, to go to the back 4, to bring Estevao, Cole Palmer on the right side at the beginning, which makes no sense anyway, but it doesn't matter. It was too little, too late, I felt. And at times they moved the ball well. And I just think if you had actually started on the front foot or a bit more in a more attacking way, then doing nothing in that first half apart from that Enzo shot, really, and then there was not much more in the second half anyway, you probably could have caused Arsenal more problem, but maybe you would have still lost. Maybe you would have lost 2-0. Maybe you would have been 2-0 down after 15 minutes. I would rather my team being knocked out after trying than being knocked out without trying, because they didn't really try. Even at the last 10, 15 minutes when they put Arsenal under pressure, it was just not enough from them. And that's the only reserve I have about his tactics.
I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, right? There's a way to approach these two-legged things. I'm not going to fault somebody for trying something different. Obviously, it didn't work. I do think there's also a truism here for Chelsea, and we saw it. We saw it at the weekend, right? When he played a certain lineup and then had to make 3 changes at halftime. Yeah. If your better players, Estevao, Palmer, James, aren't there, I think there's a big gap between those guys and the people who come on for them. I know you love Andre Santos. Andre Santos right now isn't what he was in his season at Strasbourg. Hato, I've spoken about many times. Yes, he can pass and play a little bit with the ball, but he's not a third center back in that system who steps into midfield and can be effective and creative. Delap, all right, you tried something different. Like Delap has to play. There's nobody else unless you want to invoke the ghost of Mark Yu. But this puts you in that situation. Now they can focus on finishing top 5 in the league, which is important. As for Arsenal, they're through. They're going to have this game March 22nd. It is important because Arteta hasn't won many trophies.
Just one, I mean, unless you count the Community Shield, but
which we're not. We're not. Neither of us is Jose Mourinho.
Just
we
one
won't be counting
Cup,
that. Right?
One FA Cup in COVID.
So I think that probably matters to him. Obviously, winning the Premier League or the Champions League are going to matter more. All right, Jules, we promised a health check on these teams. Let's do this. We're about 2/3 of the season done. 24 games played in the Premier League. Arsenal have a 6-point lead over Manchester City. As you know, if you project it out, I think Arsenal are going to win around 83 points, which they've had more points in past seasons and won the title.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool won it with 85 last year, so it's a very similar season.
Arsenal had 89 2 years ago and did not win it. So it's kind of give and take. I think what's if I had to ask about where they are right now and what makes me more confident if I were an Arsenal fan, is that I feel like in years past when Arsenal finished second, they were carried by exceptional individual talents like Odegaard, like Saka, who had monster seasons. This year, it seems it's much more of a too deep approach. I think something like Arsenal, let me get this wrong, but I think Arsenal have played 38 games this season, and there are only 4 players, one of them being David Raya, who started more than 75% of the games this year. So he is really managing minutes, and it's not something easy to do. There is a give and take. I still think in the big games, you need the quality players. Bukayo Saka isn't just a little bit better than all of Arsenal's other wingers. He is a lot better, and he can change a game for you. If it means you're managing his minutes so that you get him in April at the business end, then it will have worked. Odegaard, you said on Monday, he should be dropped if he's not playing well, when he doesn't play well. I still think he can give you more in that sense than anybody else. But when I look at this seems to be much more of a collective effort, with the possible exception of Declan Rice, who maybe has no substitute on this team. This seems to be more of a collective than past Arsenal sides.
Yeah, the depth is great. That's what they wanted to do, and that's what they did also in the last few transfer windows, to their credit. And they spent a lot of money, big investment from the owners. Too, I just think they are better than everybody else in the league, and a lot better than a lot of the teams there. The games they've lost, they lost them in the last minute against United, at Villa, against Liverpool too, in the last 10 minutes, more or less. They've got the best defense in Europe, the best defense in the world. It's not even, I don't think it's even a contest. And they've got set piece, which is a great weapon for them. They can turn it on and also play well in the game. They've got individual brilliance that can unlock a game too. Collectively, it's strong. I think they also have that mentality of going for things. And the goals that they conceded late at Villa, late against United would be disappointing from an Arteta point of view. But they have still so much going for them that of the 4 trophies that they can still win, obviously, I don't know how many they will win or which ones they will win. But you could also see them having a pretty special season. Also because, as we've been saying, the rest of the league is not very good, including City. And even you could look at the rest of Europe, and it's not very good either, including the European champions in PSG. So I think if all the planets align well for them, on top of everything that we said, it could be a very productive season.
I think the key element is going to be down the stretch in those big games, in those big head-to-heads. They have the head-to-head coming up with Manchester City, which I think is at the Etihad, if I'm not mistaken. Again, you can budget for a loss there and still have a 3-point cushion. City certainly don't look like a team that's going to win every other game the rest of the season. So as long as you match the results, you keep that cushion, you can manage your way through. I don't even know that, in the past I would have said, well, if Saliba goes out, you got a problem. Obviously, you're a much worse team if you lose Saliba, for example. But with the guys they have, Gabriel has shown he can be just as much of a leader in a different way. I mean, he's not as good on the ball as Saliba is, but he brings other qualities to the table. Like I said, Rice is maybe the only one who does not have a natural replacement. Mika Merino is out. Not that he would be a replacement for Rice, but he would be a body in the mix. When I think to myself, what can go wrong for Arsenal? I don't see too many things right now. Potentially longer term, I don't know if this is a way to approach. I don't know if this sort of large squad thing necessarily works longer term, because then but then we're talking about next season, and maybe you deal with that next season. Next season, you might have an issue where Eze says, "Oh, this is great. I got a big pay rise. I won the title, but I want to play regularly." Or Madueke might say that, or whatever, right? But that's down the road. Kai Havertz might definitely say that. The other bizarre thing about Arsenal is that their leading goal scorer in the league is Victor Gyökeres, who has 6 goals. And number 2 is Trossard, who's got 5 goals. And then they have a bunch of guys on 4 goals. For years, it's been one of the cliches in football. Oh, you need a 20 goal a season scorer up front, blah, blah, blah. I love the fact that they've taken this myth that people keep repeating over and over again. Now, you didn't buy into this myth because France, of course, won a World Cup with Stéphane Guivarch up front.
Not scoring, yeah. Or Olivier Giroud not scoring in a World Cup.
Yeah, but Olivier Giroud was more handsome than Guivarch, so he gets away with it.
But yeah. I mean, you spread it out. I still think that if one of them would score 20 goals in a season in the league, Arteta would be very happy too.
And if we were Kai Havertz, he would. So
yeah. But it's also what they wanted: different profiles, different options, different variation. That way you can do tactically. As long as you keep scoring, and they're the second best attack in the league, and they're the top for expected goals this season in the league, then that's fine, because it's not that Gyökeres is only on 6 and Trossard on 5 and etc., because they don't actually create enough. They do, and they should create more, sure, outside of set pieces. But I'm like you, I don't really see any negative in spreading out those goals through the season. And if they all finish with 15 each in all competitions, for example, like 4 and 15, that would be enough, I think, for them to win some of those trophies that we mentioned.
All right, let's look at Chelsea now. In terms of health check, where they are, I think the goal has to be finish in the Champions League spots, and obviously go as far as you can in the Champions League and I guess FA Cup. How well placed do you think they are to do that? They've just added some depth at the back in Mamadou Sarr, and if you could talk a little bit about what he brings. And no, this is not Malang Sarr, who they signed a few years ago, whose name also starts with an M, has the same last name. It's a different dude.
Yeah, different dude. I mean, he's only 20, so he's still very, very young, but very promising, very talented. Has been for a long time now, even before Strasbourg brought him. Even when he was at Lyon, he was already kind of pinpointed as one of the backs in the kind of generation. Chose Senegal instead of France and won AFCON, where he played in the final because Koulibaly and some of the semi-final after the Koulibaly injury, and did really well. He's got a lot of ambition. He's a very, very driven kid. He's tall, he's very strong, he's decent on the ball. He was great with Rosinha at Strasbourg last season and a bit of this season too. So they know each other really, really well. I think there will be a time for him to adapt to the Premier League, obviously. Right now, he's not better than Chalobah and Fofana in this kind of environment. Right. Obviously, it's not comparable. But I think with time, he can become a really, really good centre-back for Chelsea.
I think this is a necessary signing because Levi Colwell's injury meant that they were a person short. I think if you look at the way other people have developed, Fofana, I'm sorry, he's not. His injury record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It's not somebody that you can say, oh, look, I can count on him. I think Chalobah has had to carry a lot of weight this season. I don't know that Tosin's fine in certain situations, not in others. Badiashile wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So you're short. And Achampong, who I think is a phenomenal footballer, he's kind of almost that tweener in the sense that at center back, people look at him and say, are you too small, not physical enough? And at fullback, are you not gifted enough on the ball? So, because obviously he likes his fullbacks to play, or as a club, that's how they are. My question still is, in the past they talked about Caicedo and Palmer dependency. Palmer's had so many ups and downs, and now this business with managing the minutes. If you manage the minutes in the wrong game, because you want players to develop and at the same time succeed, it really puts your manager in a really, really difficult position. Because look, I have to give Jamie Gittins mention. I have to give Garnacho minutes. I have to give Andre Santos minutes. It's a big ask to trying to develop Andre Santos as your first defensive option off the bench and at the same time getting him to grow as a player.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that at that age.
No, and that's one of the challenge for Liam Rosinha, who I think has done really well since arriving. And I know some people don't like the glasses. Some people are mocking him for that touch he missed on Tuesday in the game, which I think is a bit harsh too. But I think he's one, very smart, two, very good as a coach, three, probably the right guy to coach and develop young players. There's no doubt. Is this enough for Chelsea Football Club right now? If you're a fan, not if you're the club. If you're the club, clearly he's enough. If you're a fan, maybe not, and I can understand why you.
If you're a fan, what you notice is the results have been there because other than the 2 Arsenal games, he's won
so
every
it's
other
5
one, right?
7 or something. Yeah.
The performances have been really bad. They were terrible. They've had some
up
really
and
bad.
down. They had some good moments. The second half against West Ham is very good, for example.
Yeah, after he said he would have booed them in the first half.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about moments, right? But
Yeah,
you're still
no,
at
no,
home
sure.
against a team that's in the relegation zone.
Sure.
Against Napoli, I thought they played well.
At times, but again,
away
it was
from
like
home.
15 minutes there, 20 minutes
Exactly.
there, but they had a big
So-
dip.
I think that's what people are looking at is, okay, we haven't had those yet. But you know what? At the same time, a lot of fans just care about results. So the results are there.
Yeah.
The question is, are the players developing? We're going to find out later.
Yeah, because he hasn't had time to train. I
He
don't
hasn't
think
had
they have trained
time.
much.
None of these people. We paid. I go back to this. We paid these managers absurd amounts of money because they're good at developing players and instilling, and then we don't give them time to do their job
But
because
it's
they have to play.
It's not that we don't give them. It's just with the schedule and the fixtures.
We, as in like the system of football, not me personally.
Yeah. No,
I'm
no.
talking
I
about
know. But
our
like,
public opinion. I saw a count on the number of training sessions that teams have a month, and it's like 5 or 6, right? In terms of full on, as opposed to walkthrough. How are you supposed to improve about?
Absolutely, that's why it's so tricky to arrive half through the season as well, because at least in the summer you've got your whole preseason and you can do the things you want. Now it's difficult for him, and playing in these League Cup semi-finals that they were not back to back, but you had Champions League back to back in between the 2 semi-finals, for example, is bad for him, because without the semi-finals of the League Cup, he would have been able to have a full week where he could have trained and prepared for the game at the weekend in the league, which hasn't been the case. So he would need a bit more time for us even to see a proper difference, and certainly the consistency that we said is lacking right now.
It's pretty much nailed on that the Premier League are going to have 5 Champions League places next season. The amazing thing is that the gap between the last Champions League place and the team in 12th in the Premier League is just 7 points. I looked around Europe. I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but I think Serie A was the next closest. I think it was 12 there, or it was 15 there. I think it's 17 in La Liga, 18 in the Bundesliga, something like that. I think 16 in Liga. With that in mind, give me a percentage chance Chelsea finish in the Champions League places.
I think Arsenal, City and Villa will be. So then you've got 2 places left for all the teams from 4th to 12th, as you said. So the likes of Newcastle, etc., United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford, Brighton, if you want to.
Brighton are just below that, actually.
So I think Liverpool will make it. I think Liverpool will finish maybe above Villa in 3rd, or it won't be much. So for me, it's United or Chelsea with the 5th place.
So what, 50-50?
50-50.
And you're ruling out everybody else?
Yeah.
All right. But you got Villa in there, which is nice.
Yeah, I think
Unai Emery,
we'll
thank
just
you.
about stay there.